so excited you guys actually came. I'm like, hey. I'm saying all these people going to the airport, they don't know the surprise in store. It's going to be good. I wore my Bolt socks. Thank you for coming. Thank you for an amazing 2 days. It feels like it's 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, but really super incredible. And I just wanted to take a couple minutes. Oh, I'm Yvonne, CEO. You all know that. It says it on the big screen. Don't worry, you don't have to say the last name. I'm the only Yvonne in all of Puppet. I'm sure there's an Yvonne or two in the community. But that said, I want to take a little bit of time, reflect back on where we've been these last couple of days, and talk about where we're going together. But I've learned in many a conference that if I sit here and tell you all the answers, you're not really going to pay attention. I could have been a school teacher, but I'm here. So we're going to do a little bit of interactive activity before I bring on the main entertainment. When I talked to you about, why people come to Puppet, I said, the people. People just like you, smart, innovative, passionate. That was before I heard Deepak's keynote. Funny, fashionable. I'm glad I have a diverse team because, man, I was dying. So I want to start with the interactive activity. Starts with, I want you to close your eyes and think about what was the funniest thing that happened in the last 2 days. Like, when did you laugh the hardest? Okay, there were a lot of funny things. I'm going to tell you mine, but I just want you to remember that because we've had a ton of fun, and I'm a little torn. Deepak gave Napoleon and Benny a run for their money, but for me, it was holding carrots out of the side of my mouth and being kissed by a llama and an alpaca at the same time. That also made me a very cool mom with my kids back at home. All right, how about inspiration? Close your eyes. What's the most inspiring story or thing that you learned? Mine was this morning. I have a selfie to prove it. Puppet runs on the International Space Station. Woo! And they're only going to use more, and they're going to be trying out Bolt, and how cool is that? I just thought that was really cool. Maybe that's why we call things Nebula and Bolt. There's something going on here. Okay, now we're going to get to the serious stuff. What are you going to do differently, and/or what do you want to achieve a month from now, a year from now, or 3 years from now? This is the hard question. This we have to think back over all the sessions, the people you met. What do you want to have achieved in a month, in a year, in 3 years? We're going to give you a little bit more time. All right. The first thing you can think about, this is going to be a homework assignment, but I want to know, how many of you reversed my question and said, where do I want to be in 3 years? Therefore, where do I want to be in a year? Therefore, what am I going to do next month? That would be me. And I realized, I'm declarative. I started with my vision. However, if you want a month, a year, you can be task-based. It's cool. Because you need both. I really thought that way. I was like, wait a second. Why would I do it this way? I should start with where I want to be and then kind of figure out what I have to do. But I bring it up because you need both. You need kind of the vision of where you want to get in 3 years, and then you need the action plan of what am I actually going to do. And my hope is that when you went through that exercise, and I really encourage you to think about it, because we come to these conferences, and they're fun, and you meet people, but they're really only valuable if you do something different, if it's inspired you to reach somewhere else. And so I hope that, be it CD for PE, or Bolt, or Wash, or Nebula, whatever it is, maybe it's just you met some people who are amazing, and you're going to call them up for help. Like, what are you going to do differently that's going to propel you? And then as I was thinking about what I was going to say, And I was like, oh my God, what's my answer? Where do I want to be in 3 years? And I believe that my happy spot in 3 years that I'm aspiring to get to with all of you is that in 3 years that this concept of an infrastructure developer is not something we're trying to define. It's not just a reality in organizations all over the globe, but that the infrastructure developer has a seat at the table, that they're helping drive organizations more towards a self-healing, informed, balanced, safe, innovative place in a multi-cloud world. Because I believe in 3 years, you're still very multi-cloud and hybrid. But I already heard conversations today around how that bridge between containers and cloud native and app developers, they're starting to realize they're going to hit that tipping point. And I want all of us to be empowered to help our companies and organizations really get to that right answer where technology is making the world a better place, not a scarier place. And I think infrastructure automation has a huge role to play in that. I believe all of you have a huge role to play in that, and that we can do a lot of fun stuff together. So ultimately, to me, in that journey, I want to eliminate all the soul-crushing work. I want to free you to do what robots can in terms of doing the creative, fun, impactful things. That's my happy spot in 3 years. How am I going to get there? We have a lot of work to do. We got a lot of great feedback through the sessions. I'm going to go back and watch a lot. I spent a lot of time in meetings with folks using Puppet. But we have opportunities in how we do our education to better enable the different folks on your teams and communities. We have opportunities to be more prescriptive in some of our documentation to make it easier for those who just want to get to the answer. We have opportunities to mature our products with all of you, to continue to grow the open source projects that we have, to build out the Forge and deliver on what we talked about here. So a lot we're going to do, but the most important thing is to continue the dialogue with you. And with that, I'm super excited to announce the slow reveal. We're going to reinvigorate Puppet camps. And this is really important, particularly for, woo! The first three are on the stage, Boston, Berlin. We couldn't, I should have done Brisbane. So Melbourne, I could have done the 3 Bs, huh, Dave? Melbourne's nice, I love Melbourne. But the reason why we're doing this is that as I travel the globe, there's a lot of great folks who've been able to come here. There's a lot of people who would have loved to be here, who want to connect in the community. We may do it a little bit different than we've done in the past. We're all about being agile and innovative. But the core concept with Puppet camps that we want to bring back is a lot of what you all shared with me here. It's small, it's intimate, it's connected, it's stories, it's hearing from other people just like us. It's how do we learn from each other? How do we grow together? How does Puppet help enable that process? So we're still figuring out a lot of details. If you have questions or thoughts or perspectives, I was telling somebody earlier, I think I'm really nice. I think I'm approachable. But sometimes people are a little intimidated to tell me things that they think I might not want to hear. But my team will tell you, I love hearing different ideas and perspectives. So let us know your thoughts. Let us know your ideas. Let us know your passion, your enthusiasm, because we're here really in service of all of you. Because together we do amazing things. And with that, I want to bring out my favorite dynamic duo. They don't even need last names. It's Deepak and Nigel. Woo! Up top.
You go this way. That was a double high five, I think, executed successfully. The secret is if you look at the elbow, you will not miss. Pro tip, thought leadership. Well, I hope you all had a good time, and I hope you all enjoyed all of the sessions and the party and, all the things, listening to me, I guess. If you didn't like it, well, I don't know, you're not in the right spot right now. But I'm not going to be talking for that long. So this morning, I did ask how many of you was this the first Puppet event that you've been to? And a lot of hands went up. So it occurs to me that many of you might not have ever been to a puppet camp before. And, you know,
Puppet camps are back.
they're back.
Okay, so who hasn't ever been to a puppet camp? Wow. Who's been to more than 4? This is interesting. So I know we've got at least a couple here. Who was at the very first puppet camp in 2009? So this has been going on for a while. Puppet camps have been on pause for a couple of years, but in many ways, I think they're one of the most special experiences in the early days of Puppet, and I'm so thrilled that we're actually bringing them back. So that very first Puppet camp, I think, set the template for a lot of our community interactions. There was folks from Puppet, then I believe still called Reductive Labs, showing off software. There were community people. I believe Deepak got up and tried to convince everyone that masterless Puppet was actually the best way to go. And I guess with a decade later...
Heresy!
I think we all screamed at him and ran him off the stage with pitchforks. But it was a small, intimate group of people sharing what they were working on with Puppet, what they were getting done. But I think more importantly, solving the hard, difficult problems in operations, like how were they using Puppet to actually solve these things. We've run Puppet camps all over the world. I think I went through my t-shirt collection this week. I think I have 38 Puppet camp t-shirts for different cities. There are a lot of Puppet camps. I'm really thrilled they're coming back. Essentially, the core is we will show off software. It will be a one-track event, almost certainly. And there's something really special about shared experience when everyone is going to the same talks. This has been a really, really great event. I hear the talks have been amazing. I've mainly been in meetings with customers, so I'm looking forward to the videos. But this small, intimate grassroots events all over the world, where a couple of hundred people get together to show off what they're doing, this is how you form really great community bonds. This is how you get interactions, not just between Puppet and all of you, but between all of you. And that's really important to us. They've also been a place where we show off contribution. And with that, I think we want to thank a few more contributors.
I think so. Before I go there, if you like the outrun/vaporwave aesthetic for Puppet camps, please let the marketing team know. Mostly because I want that on a shirt, because I think that would be badass. All right, you heard it. You heard it. Give the people what they want. So I'm a little punchy, or a lot punchy. The community, as Nigel said.
Stay on target.
I know. Loosen up, use the force. I think as Nigel said, part of the reason why we're trying to do more Puppet camps is really to get more engaged with the community wherever you are and in ways that kind of match the needs of people that are now spread out all over the world. And the thing that I like to think about in terms of community is just the sheer variety of ways in which people end up actually becoming contributors. And contributing happens in so many different forms, right? Like there are things like code, for example. You've got Tony that did a ton of great work working, building modules for OS level patching on Windows and Linux, and thankfully writing some blog posts about it to help everybody understand what the tools are capable of. That's really awesome. So I would love to give a shout out, if we could give a round of applause to Tony and any other community members that contribute code.
I'd also like to point out he's continuing the grand tradition of Australian sysadmins, explaining to the rest of the world how things should be done.
And the rest of the world can understand 60% of it. Another big way to contribute and be part of the community is just being present and doing self-organization to help kind of mobilize more community members to support and maintain more of the modules, more of the tooling that we have that honestly just kind of powers most of the Puppet installations that are actually out there in the wild at this point. So I would love to give, there's no better example of this, I think, than Tim and all of the other contributors that are part of the Vox Populi organization, which I think do a phenomenal job. I mean, this screenshot just shows some of the numbers. I mean, managing a little bit south of 200 different repositories, which is fantastic. And so they're all maintaining a lot of the core modules that we're using all the time, every day. So if you haven't thanked them, you should get online, get on the community Slack and find them and definitely thank them because they're awesome. So please a round of applause for Vox.
I'd also like to add, given how many new folks we've got, Vox are a really great way to get more involved with the community. If you've turned up here and you've had a really great time, you've had lots of great conversations, and you're wondering how you can actually contribute more actively, Vox already have the structure in place. They have lots of work for people to do, and they're really incredibly welcoming. This is not a secret cabal you're being locked out of. These are some of the friendliest, most helpful people in our community, and helping them do work just benefits us all.
The first rule of the secret cabal is, you don't tell. Yeah, okay. If you're cool, we'll give you the password.
Is it Puppet?
Yeah, the password is Puppet. The last way I want to talk about that we see a lot of involvement from community members is just sharing stories and being present, because that's such a core part of, it's the human side of technology, right? Like there's ones and zeros, but actually putting that into practice, I think, oftentimes turns out you need human beings to actually do this stuff. And that's where things like, people's personal experiences, word of mouth about stuff, just talking shop with people, whether that's here, whether that's at other conferences, whether that's on the Slack channel, whether that's whatever spaces you happen to be in. And I'm very thankful that we have a community filled with people that love doing this stuff, and it's really great. So to call some of these things out, I definitely want to call attention to the folks that have helped write blog posts for all the things that they've been working on. Like, that's really awesome. It helps kind of educate a lot of people as to different ways that you can actually use things. All the tools that we've developed, that's really great. As I said this morning, the world is pretty complicated, and there's 800 different ways you could use any individual thing. So it's kind of powerful to hear how people are actually, what their opinions are and what their sense of taste is and how they're actually making decisions about how to leverage all this tech. And I think that's super great. This can also be everything from, from blog posts to just hanging out with us. RagnarCon did an amazing job just hanging out with us in the booth at Red Hat Summit, just hanging out in the booth. Doesn't work for us. Just talking with anybody that came up that had questions. That's awesome. It's I don't know, that fills me full of joy to actually, I don't know, a lot of software sucks, but I think it's nice to actually have people that are enthusiastic enough about this stuff that they want to engage with people and tell them good and bad, just all the stories around it. I think that's really great.
And just to add on to that really quickly, I think often when it comes to open source communities, technical contributions, the label technical gets used as a stick versus non-technical ones. Writing, explaining your experiences, writing documentation, even just filing bug reports, all of these things are incredibly valuable. It's not just code that we value in the community.
Yeah. Last but not least, I would like to give a special shout out to Rob, who's right there. With the hot hands, live tweeting practically everything. I don't know how you were in multiple tracks at the same time, but I assume you're some kind of Time Lord or shapeshifter or changeling or something like that. But that is awesome. This is super helpful. I mean, tons of people rely on this to just see what the hell is going on. We should say something nice about Rob so he's forced to type it. And then...
Rob has excellent hair.
He does have excellent hair.
Oh, this isn't.
And now we pause for effect, wait for the typing to happen. And then if you check your Twitter feed and he does not say that, go find him. He's right over there. Go find him and ask why he hasn't posted about how amazing his hair is. It's been a long 2 days, people. Give us a break. All right.
So I guess I just wanted to finish before we have a little call out on the next slide, but this is from the very first Puppet Camp. So 2009, Luke had hair and is wearing a BIOS t-shirt, but this is still true.
What is dead will never die. BOS.
If you want to talk to Luke about BOS, he will do so anytime. I do not wish to partake in that conversation. The state of Puppet is really good. And thank you all for coming. Thank you all for making this such an amazing event. It's just always really great to catch up with everyone and just remember what our community is like. You're all great.
Because you were so great, let's hang out. I'm about to walk over to Kel's Irish Pub. I've been told to say it is Kel's, not Kelly's, which is a similarly spelled but completely different venue that we will not be at. Therefore, it will not nearly be as awesome as the place that we will likely be at. So please come here. The drinks are on us. There will also be non-alcoholic options for people where that's something of interest, such as myself. And I think...
Well, I was just going to say one thing. Thank you, everyone, for being aware of the code of conduct. It's really important for us to create a safe and welcoming space for everyone. Even though the conference is over now, please keep it in mind as you head off to the drinks tonight. Code of conducts are really important. We're going to make sure everyone has a great time. With that, thank you. I guess we're over.
I think it's done.